By the way, did you ever watch the movie Straight Outta Compton?
Yeah.
What did you think about it?
It was cool. It was cool. I mean, it's a Hollywood movie, A lot of the shit gets...
Exaggerated a little bit?
I don't know. Can be, yeah. But, I mean, those guys, like, they're forefathers of rap music and the independent record label and shit like that. Like, there's many things about that, like, that changed the face of music. Dre is a beast. That's all I can say. He knows... Some people know how to start a record. He knows how to finish a record. There's another producer like that, Lou Bell, who does all Post Malone shit. So super talented guy, super organized. Like, almost reminds me of what's the guy? 10 Minutes to Wapner, Rain Man.
Rain Man.
Like he's fucking Rain Man. The guy's so intense. Lou Bell, yeah, that guy. He's another like in a different way, but like that level of that Dre's at. But knowing how to finish a record, he does like him and Andrew Watt. They do like all the Post Malone shit. He's a modern day genius. But I got off track.
Yeah, you were talking about Kanye. You were talking about Kim, Paris. How that whole thing came about and pulling up in a Bugatti, the Ford one.
Mm-hmm. Ralph Lauren beat me. I think the first two were not sold, but it was car number 4 of that.
And in this whole Dre situation, you're in the studio and all this. When does Snoop come into your situation?
Bro, very early. That was one of the coolest things.
Yeah, well, tell us about Snoop.
He's
Snoop
awesome. He's awesome, bro. I consider myself like, a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm cool with Snoop. Me and him are pals. Like, we're cool. Like, he's always shown me love. And he's such a humble guy. I remember one time I went to his house in Claremont back in the day, and he's one of my mug shots. That's nice. He
what are you gonna pull on mug shots?
No, one of he was like sweeping up his own house and shit, and I was just like, he's just a cool guy, man. Loves to smoke
Snoop
weed.
was
obviously.
sweeping up his own.
Yeah, I remember he was just like cleaning up and shit. Like,
good for him.
I mean, did you ever film? What did you produce with Dre and Snoop together?
Still Dre.
So it's okay.
Yeah, the number one, I think, rap song in the history of music.
There it is. And then in that time period,
but I did stuff on Snoop's albums too.
Okay.
But look, going to these sessions and becoming part of this album that was like, I think there was like a lack of like where we're going with the sound before I got there. I mean, it was like cool, and I got there and it's like all of a sudden there's this like not P-Funk thing happening anymore. It's like more orchestral and like ominous sounding shit. That's when we started, we went into these sessions, and I was meeting people that were like blowing my mind every day. Like Snoop was there, this one, all these fucking amazing people were there, and I never was around famous people like that other than the Roots. Like, and it was so amazing.
What was the one time when someone walked in, you're like, get out of town, this guy's here? Who was that? All
kinds of weird people. I mean, nobody like, I'm just like, maybe just like thrown off like by certain, like Pauly Shore would walk in the studio, like just random people. I'm like, who the fuck? Like, he would like take pictures of us.
Encino Man.
There you went. And then in this time period, Death Row Records. Tupac had recently been killed a few years prior. What was Suge Knight's involvement on this? What stories do you have with Suge?
My Suge stories were a little later. They were like 7, 8 years later. But, there's good and bad in everybody. But I know that, I don't know what happened because I wasn't there, like between him and Dre and all that shit. So I can only speculate. But I was living in LA in Ted Field's house that he was prior to me living in this area called the Summit. Like really prestigious gated community. And if you know anything about LA, you want to be in Beverly Park, where Rod Stewart and all these people live, or the Summit.
So the Summit in Woodland Hills?
No, the Summit is in Beverly Hills.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And like everybody lived in there. I mean, countless people. Van Halen, all these people like in there. And I was in there, and this is like a replica of I think it was like the Prince of Monaco's house, some crazy fucking house. Like, and I rented it, like, and one day I'm like coming back, like maybe the third or fourth day, living in there, I see Suge and his son walking, and I was like, Suge lives in here. Interesting. So he noticed me, and then like randomly we ended up like hanging, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. It was a bittersweet relationship, but you know, I still got love for him. He is the guy that got Tupac out of jail and blessed us with that for the world. Like, but you mentioned something earlier about what's my funniest Suge story. Suge and I went to Vegas one time together and checked into the Cosmo, and I was in a room under his name. He got the rooms for us.
This has got to be last 15 years because Cosmo's 15 years old.
Yeah. And there's a knock at the door. Security. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? There's an unpaid minibar bill. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on? Obviously, I'm a fuck up at this point. I'm completely out of my mind on drugs, coke, ecstasy, and fucking everything. And unpaid. I was like, oh, okay, I'll go down and pay it. This and that. They just had gots for fucking Suge, right? And I'm taken down not to the front desk to pay this minibar bill, but I'm taken to a holding cell. Mind you, I had like bags, and when they knocked on the door, I grabbed it and put it in here. As soon as I was a fucking idiot. I was like, can I have a tissue? And I took one of the bags. I was putting the bag in the tissue and threw it in the garbage. A cop comes running in. We got it. And I was off to jail. In PC, handcuffed to a tranny for like 2 days. And Suge bailed me out. And then he got arrested for, I think, throwing a bag of McDonald's out the window of my Bentley Mulsanne. And it was just the most random shit, like, yeah, on the same train. We were like, let's get the fuck out of here, bro. And it was just one of those moments. It was such a dysfunctional moment. But, you know, we'll just say that he and I were not on our, like, best level of our lives. Hey, what's going on? I'm Scott Storch, and you might have seen me on the PBD podcast, and you might have some questions you want to ask me. I'm available on the Minette app, and you can ask me about pretty much anything, music, industry stuff, you know, my life and my history, or, you know, anything, technical questions with music, equipment, whatever, production techniques. Check it out, Minette.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.